which I'm going to do. So we're now officially being recorded, all 5 of us. So I don't know where everybody else is. It's a late arriving crowd here at Dodger Stadium, I guess, or whatever. You know, the traffic held everybody up. I don't know. So now that we're being recorded, I was just talking about our broodmare program. It's interesting, and I'll go on a tangent a little bit and talk. When I first envisioned Wasabi, I really I wanted to long-term really cover every aspect of the thoroughbred world. My grand dream was to really have a thoroughbred operation that covered everything from breeding to retirement even. And that would be my grand vision. And our success that we've had with running mostly a claiming operation has allowed me to dip my neck farther into the water and faster than I thought I would. I know Michelle is not going to be surprised by that fact, but well, I do crazy things like that all the time when I start feeling like something's going well. And so adding the yearlings and the broodmares this year really kind of was always in the plan. It was just a question of when and how fast that was going to happen. And our success in claiming and the early success now with our 2-year-olds. For those that didn't see it, Trapp ran a really nice race today and put herself in a really good spot. I'm not sure if any of you are in on Trapped or not, but almost immediately after the race, I got 2 calls from bloodstock agents that know me looking to see if the horse was for sale. You know, and the answer is every horse is always for sale. It just takes the right price. But that tells you you're doing something right when that happens that fast. So that's good news. And, you know, so the net is we've been successful. We've done very well. We've grown as a club. That's another thing. I mean, we're 300-ish people and a very active group. And honestly, I think we will sell out these broodmares in a couple days. Just because, especially this first one at the price point we're talking about, 1% is going to get you, for $134. Getting it on a broodmare for $134 all in is, well, impossible in the world. So that's with no ongoing bills and none of that. So I think it's a horse that's going to sell out well, and it's at a price point and it's a very interesting horse. So I think if you put that all together, I think it's a good opportunity. I think the yearling program is interesting from the perspective of if it works, it's very different for us because it really is a focus on a focus of can we turn a profit or not, and because it really is a pinhooking operation. Now, of course, we have the backstop of the club. If it's a horse that we can't get the price point that we want, we can bring it into the club and make it a racing prospect for us, which is a unique ability for us. But that's we've got to actually the goal of the yearling program really is for those participating to turn a profit in an 8-month sort of window. And if we can do that, I think that also opens up interesting opportunities for us long term. So yeah, I mean, that's why I'm doing that. The long-term vision, and, Michelle's on the line, and, the part of the business and industry I think she loves the most and it gravitates to the most is sort of what happens to the horses when they're done racing. So I could even see us long-term delving into that, even more than what we've done. Obviously, we've been responsible owners in any way we can. And supported organizations, but I can even see longer term that we have an even more active role in that, because I really am thinking from birth to their ending period, a place for the horses that race with us and covering every aspect of the industry. I don't know, once again, any organization, any thoroughbred group that really does that in the way we're doing it, especially not, sort of with the number of people involved. I think we may already be the largest syndicate from a number of people in the country. I've tried to find stats on that. I can't find another syndicate type of group like ours that has as many people involved as we already have. So in a year and a half, we've sort of gotten to that point, which is great, for sure. So I couldn't be happier, and hopefully I think all of you are too. A couple other things that I wanted to talk about, just to bring up. I talked about track running today, and hopefully some of you saw that race, or if not, you at least heard about it. We actually were looking at a claim tonight at Penn National already. I was already getting notes from Mark Salvaggio, we're going to pass. I didn't announce it on Slack because I thought we were going to pass all along. But Mark, like 5 seconds ago, just texted me saying that the horse has got a knee issue, so we're gonna pass. But but that's we've got 2 on Friday at Laurel. I'd be very surprised if we don't drop on one of those 2, just given the situation. Both of these horses are horses that we have seen at least 4 or 5 times already, and we were just kind of waiting for the right situation to take an opportunity. So I'd be very surprised if we don't drop in on one of those 2. So there may be a new claim coming, probably by the end of the weekend if everything goes well. The other big thing that I wanted to just highlight for people is, for those in the area, in the Maryland area, obviously in about a month from now is Maryland Million weekend. It's a big weekend for us because we're kind of centered in the Middle Atlantic area right now, and I'm a Maryland kid. I will be a Maryland kid, much to the chagrin of Michelle, till the day I die. That means I'm usually not a big fan of the Red Sox ever. But I can stomach the Patriots, but I can't handle the Red Sox at all. But anyway, I digress. But we're looking at what we might be able to put together on some social stuff, things at Maryland Million Day, maybe before, maybe after, all kinds of things that we're kind of looking at, and even some stuff that might be interesting from a distance for those that may not travel to the weekend. I know, like Miss Vanessa, I know I'm pretty sure you're not going to skip the classroom and show up on Maryland Million weekend. So, but no, we're working at some sort of creative stuff that we can try to do that sort of encompasses everyone and as much as we can. We currently have. I'm actually looking at a sheet across my office right now. I have 7 horses that are currently in our barn that, if everything goes well, that we're going to enter for the races that day. Who knows if they all go? Who knows if they get into the races? But and I will tell you, the horse that we're looking to claim on Friday is a horse that's specifically being claimed so it can target for Maryland Million Day. So it is specifically a claim at that point. What we're looking for. So anyway, that's something we're gonna hopefully you'll see some pieces of coming up. With all that said, I'm gonna unmute all of you if you have questions. So if you're somewhere crazy loud, now is the chance to get less loud. And then if it's really loud, you can mute yourself back. But I'm gonna unmute you all in 3 seconds, and then if you have questions, I'm happy to answer them. 1, 2, 3. And now everyone is unmuted, and I'm here for your questioning pleasure.
Can I just clarify with the broodmare program? I read through the information you'd given, but essentially it's the price of the broodmare plus a $5,000 stud fee, and you're 1% of that if you want the 1%.
That's correct. Plus our usual $99 fee that we put on any horse. But in this case, and this is an important case, for the one that I posted today, she's already pregnant, So we won't charge the $5,000.
Okay. So then in subsequent years for breeding, there still is no additional fees that we'll pay.
Nope. That's correct. No additional fees. And let me, because it's different, and I know you've done some others, you know, Vanessa, so you're trying to compare it to sort of how other people have done it. The reason the vision is that if this broodmare goes well, you obviously have residual value of selling the horse that just happened. You know, so you breed a horse, and as you know, and everyone knows, or maybe they don't, but it's important to understand that stud fee is not due until the horse is born and, you know, in stands and nurses usually is what you hear. So if that doesn't happen for any reason long process, you owe nothing. And so our vision though is that if you have let's take the campaign vows, the one I posted today. In theory, she's going to give birth sometime in the fall. That stud fee has already been paid by the place we bought it from, so we're not on the hook for that stud fee. When that horse is born, that foal is born, assuming everything goes well. Obviously, a year from now or so, we're going to sell that foal. The income from that sort of covers the new stud fee when that's due and the next one's due. So it kind of covers the cash flow in vision. That's the vision. But even if it doesn't, no one's on the hook for it. It's all WVS is on the hook.
Okay.
So we're not going to come looking for any fee. So in this case, because she's already pregnant and there won't be a stud fee due, then you don't. We're not going to add that $5,000. And we arbitrarily picked a $5,000 number. The stud fee we may choose. And part of our vision here, I don't want to get too sidetracked. Part of our vision is that people who are in a broodmare, we're going to give a low, medium, and high option every year and say, these are our mating options this year. What do people think? Do you want to take a chance on a more expensive stud fee? Do you want to, go medium? Do you want to go low? And allow people to see the logic that's happening and why certain pairings make sense and the prices that kind of go with them. And we're trying to make it as interactive as possible so that people can see the logic that goes into the pairings as well.
All right. So are you planning Maryland stallions, or that'll just depend on what you think is best for the mare?
That it's all going to depend what's best for the mare.
Okay.
In this particular case, she's probably always going to be a Maryland stallion, given who she is and how Campaign Vows is probably going to be a Maryland stallion all the time, just given the nature. But I will tell you the next opportunity that's coming along, if it all comes to fruition, that's a mare that you could take to Kentucky and use a Kentucky sire, because you believe there's an opportunity there larger for a bigger commercial opportunity,
Okay.
So it'll just depend on the mare and the situation. I mean,
Okay.
Participate's a great example. The first year out, it's probably going to be a Maryland sire, right? It probably makes the most sense. But if after a year or two she starts throwing really good foals that are producing, you might go and look and say, hey, she's really a good match for a much more commercially established Kentucky sire. Why don't we try it? That type of thing.
Okay.
So TK, this is I've never been involved in a broodmare program. So this is based on a foal by foal. I mean, you go from foal to foal,
Nope.
or you have once you buy a broodmare, do you like?
You're in.
Okay.
You're in, Clarence. If you're in the broodmare, you're in. The broodmare is kind of the asset, if you will.
Okay.
If you want to think of it that way, the broodmare is the asset, but she obviously produces other assets
Yes, yeah.
that you will sell off.
Okay.
And so that's the way to think of it. But the physical, the physical asset that you're buying into is the broodmare itself. It's also possible that it might make sense to sell the broodmare at some point too. Just like any of our claiming situations. Somebody walks in. So if somebody walked in tomorrow and said Participate is worth $50,000 as a broodmare, well, we might sell Participate at $50,000, but considering we only paid $7,500 for it. So it's just one of those. It'll be like any other asset, but the asset is the broodmare, and you stay with that broodmare forever. As long as she's in our program, you're in that broodmare. Wow,
that's a really good deal then. I thought it was based on a foal by foal. I thought it was foal to foal.
Nope. It's a really good deal. I guess it's what I would say, because there's no ongoing bills. Not our usual type of program we're trying to run here. And I'll be very honest with you. We may do this first year or so and come to find out that it's not financially viable to do it this way. I've done a lot of models, and I think it can work. But, we'll see. We'll do it and we'll learn. But right now, I think it can work, is the short answer. But yeah, nothing hidden, nothing tricky. Not going to come back and look for more money or anything. And you're kind of in that mare until she's not a broodmare anymore.
Wow.
Yeah. I think it's a wow too. So, I know Vanessa's got a lot of experience. We have quite a few people in our group who have been in a lot. We actually have more people in our group who have been in breeding partnerships than racing partnerships. There are quite a few people, which is one reason why I wanted to kind of get to this faster, because I know there's a lot of interest from our group. In this. So if I could come up with a model that worked, I wanted to give it a shot. But Vanessa can tell you that's not usually how these, you usually are going to get quarterly bills on most of them.
You're sending checks more than receiving checks. And a lot of times you don't even really get any input on who they're being bred to. They might throw out names and you can throw back some, but ultimately my experience is the choice is really nothing for me to look at. It's who they picked, which has been fine. And we had the one I was involved in was a New York bred who paid out. He ran until he was 8 and he paid back in the end. So that was nice.
The other thing, and I think this is for those who haven't read the document that I kind of put together on the broodmare program, an interesting tidbit to owning broodmares is that the foals can pay you for a long time. If they keep running and they're from the correct states, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New York, if they're Maryland bred or Pennsylvania bred or New York bred, are 3 great examples, but Florida has a program. I mean, there's lots of programs around the country. Ohio has a program. But that foal, even if you don't own the foal anymore, can earn you bonuses back for as long as that foal's running. So the broodmare could get retired, not produce anymore, and her last foal 8 years later is still running, earning you money.
Wow, because of bonus money, TK? Because of bonus money?
Yeah. All of the states that I just mentioned have bonus programs. In the document in the broodmare, I actually link to the Maryland program, but basically the numbers, you're getting 30% as the breeder of the purse money. So if the horse wins and wins a $10,000 purse, as the breeder, you're getting $3,000, even if it's 2 years since you didn't own it anymore.
Wow.
So that's the only way broodmare programs. That's why states set these up, because if not, the broodmare process is very expensive. It's a cash intensive program, because as Vanessa mentioned, the cash flows all out in the beginning with the sort of the hope that the annuity pays you back over time. And so the way a broodmare makes money is you sell off the foals, and there's a transactional dollar there, whatever you sell it for, you get. But the real sort of bonus money is the bonus money. It's that annuity that foal eventually grows up and wins races, and you earn money from that. I was actually just seeing this. I'm looking at Mid-Atlantic Thoroughbred here, but they do a Maryland in here. You can look up and look at every single bonus that was paid, breeder bonus. I'm looking right now. I saw one in here the other day, but So Robert Gerzak, who is a breeder in Maryland, just in June got $10,000 in bonus money from 4 horses that he bred. So that was $10,000 flowing back to him, and he doesn't own any of those horses anymore. They're long gone from him. Nancy Owner earned money for Nancy, who bred her, because she won the other. When she won, I think the breeder won $3,000, and she hasn't any expenses for over 2 years. So that's why people breed. Candidly, if you didn't have these bonus programs, it's very hard to make the financials work. So the states create these programs because if you don't have people breeding the horses, there are no horses to run. And if you can't make the financial work to have breeders, there's no horses to race. So that's why they create the programs.
Thank you. It's very informative. I never knew any of that.
Yeah. I kept the page open. Yeah, I was trying to find Nancy's listed here, but she. I was just looking. There's people. Yeah, there's Larry Johnson, who you'll see his name in the program as a breeder a lot. If you see R. Larry Johnson, he breeds mostly in Virginia, but he has a bunch of Maryland breds too. He earned $13,000 in the month of June, from horses that he bred. And I don't think he owns any of them anymore. So if you think about that, Clarence, if you think about how that's working, he doesn't have any of the monthly expenses of owning the horse. It's just the money is now coming back as a residual. And really the 2 best programs in the country, well, I would say the 3 best, but 2 of the 3 best programs in the country are Maryland and Pennsylvania. Literally in the entire country, 2 of the 3 best breeding programs in the whole country are those 2. New York is a very good breeding program too. So the dollars are actually bigger there, but they kind of manage them a little differently. But Pennsylvania may be the very best. If I had to guess, if I had to rank them, I would say Pennsylvania would be the very best because they actually pay up to 50% bonuses. 50% bonuses to the breeders.
Jeez, I think I just heard that Smarty Jones is coming back to PA too.
Yep. He may already actually physically be back in Pennsylvania. So, yep. So, I got a question from Charlie. So I'll answer it because I think it's of interest to everybody, and everybody in the group is in the club. So I don't have a problem answering this one. Any update on how Peyton Place is doing? Is he still at the track? So I sent the message the other day. Peyton is still off, if I was going to use a word. Walks fine, is not lame to the walk, but Jesse put a rider on him and just had him walk the shed row. Never left the shed row, just put tack on him and walked him, and he came back just from the walk a little off and sore. And it's the tendon right now that's the problem. So he had cut himself. What had happened was he had cut himself when he kind of hit himself. So he cut himself, and then the tendon swelled up. So both of those things happened. The cut has now healed. So it's not a physical issue of the cut anymore, but the tendon itself is still swollen, and it hasn't, but it's not bowed for those that, their horse anatomy. The tendon's not bowed, but it is still a little swollen. We had to wait for the cut to heal before we could scan it. So what's going to happen next is they're actually going to come in and scan it and find out if there's a tear in that tendon or anything else, so that we don't do any further damage. So so hopefully that happens in the next. Hopefully that scan happens before Friday, and I'll have some news for folks. But right now I wouldn't call it promising news, but it's not necessarily horrendous news quite yet either. So it's kind of wait and see. What else did I have? Any other questions for anyone?
Yeah, are any of the other 2-year-olds close to making their first start, TK?
Yeah. I would say there's 2. I talked to Ronnie Spatz this morning, actually. So Watch Your Step, which is down in Florida, is one more breeze away from looking for a race. So I would say, worked from the gate today and worked like a rock star, candidly. Blew the doors off of another 2-year-old to the point where the other 2-year-old stopped running, and galloped out at 102, very strong. Went 4 furlongs and then galloped out a 5th at 102. So a very strong gallop out. So one more breeze, one more long breeze. So you're probably 4 furlong breeze next weekend is my guess. Next weekend, a week from today, I would say, is usually what you see, 7 days apart. And then probably look for a race, 2 weeks or so after that if something bubbles up. The liaison filly who is with Jesse, the other 2-year-old that Jesse has, is also not far from running. I would say probably 1 or 2 breezes. So we're probably talking 3 to 4 weeks when that one's going to debut. Jesse and I talked. Maybe there's a race that we kind of circled in Delaware for don't hold me to the exact date because I don't have the book in front of me. It's like October 10th. So you're maybe 3 or 4 weeks from her debuting. And I talked to Mark Salvaggio yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised that within 4 weeks, the one he's got is going to debut. The 2 that are with Beth, Old Line Magic and Willie the Whale. So the good news is all of his paperwork is done. He is officially in Equibase. So if for those that didn't see that announcement, you can look up Willie the Whale, and he's in Equibase. So he is good to go. I can't say Willie's name and not laugh, can't I? So, but every time I say his name, I laugh. But Willie's ready to go. Old Line Magic is probably, I would say, of the ones that are still on the track, the one that is the farthest behind. And the only reason she is far behind is that she's going to kind of have to tough it through a little bit. We backed off of her for a couple weeks because she was showing some shin tenderness. So Beth blistered her. Nothing serious, just so everyone understands. So blistering sort of hardens the shins a little bit, so she's kind of a little bit of a baby still, because there's nothing physically wrong. We had the vet check. There's nothing wrong with her shins. She just wanted to be a little bit of a baby, and now that they've been blistered, she's back to training sort of on a regular basis. If I had to guess on her, and this is purely a guess, I would guess that she's looking at a late October debut, is my guess. If you had put a gun to my head and said pick something, I'm guessing she's going to do, a 5.5 furlong race sometime at the end of October. And I would think Willie's kind of headstrong guy. Willie right now, if you told him to go run a mile, would go run a mile. And he would do it aggressively and go nuts. So we're trying to, he's got a lot of speed. He has a lot of speed and a lot of talent. But he also gets distracted pretty easily. I mean, you have to think, the way I always try to explain it is the 2-year-olds are like 13-year-old kids.
Yep.
And they might have a heck of a lot of talent, and because a lot of 13-year-olds do, but they also are 13-year-old kids. And sometimes, like Willie, for example, he worked out of the gate, I think it was last weekend. He stood there. He literally stood there nicely. They take off. And then he's like, oh, I got to go. And then he passed everyone. So, I mean, it's not that he doesn't have talent. It's just like sometimes he's got a mind of his own, like most 13-year-olds do. And so you're really kind of dealing with that. So he actually probably has enough fitness right now if we put him in a race. I just don't think he's mentally quite there. So we're trying to get him so that he's mentally, not going to go chase a squirrel or something if that's what comes across the track. So anyway, that was probably a lot of data for you, but I would say that if I had to bet right now, I would bet that either Watch Your Step or Necessary Drama will be, I mean, nip and tuck. They may go at the exact same week. One of those two are going to be the next one to go, and it's one of those two is my guess.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see. That's all I had. Any other questions from anybody else in the crowd?
So the second broodmare potential, when are you thinking that deal, if it goes through, will be finished?
I'm expecting us to sign the tomorrow, Vanessa.
Okay.
And then I'll do the same thing I did today, probably like Friday. I'll put up a little snippet on Slack so everybody can see which horse and some of the same kind of things that I put up today. And then I'll probably put it up for sale, maybe, on the site, maybe on Sunday or something like that.
Okay.
I will tell you that the price point is higher on that one, just so everybody's aware. It's like I said, it's a stakes thread proven mare, and we're getting a weanling with it. So we're getting a jumpstart weanling.
Is she in full as well?
She is not in full. We actually, since you guys are all on, you get to hear the inside story. We actually were told that she was in full. We sent a vet and to check, and she wasn't. It's actually, in some ways, a benefit because now we can do our own cross instead.
Early cover.
And do it in early cover because it was a June cover, so it would have been, it would have been a situation where we would have been. We wouldn't quite have gotten what we wanted out of it with a June cover. So now we can do it at early timing.
So that actually, and a June cover is way better. Not that, you can at least, you don't have to worry so much about next year if she doesn't have a June full, which will, with Analyze will be something to think about, because, she'll have a May baby, but, if she doesn't get back in full, you basically have one chance with her after she falls, pretty much. But then she got in full in one cover, so before. Yeah,
I was going to say the only really promising thing with Analyze is she seemed to work the first time through.
Yeah,
pretty amazing.
I was surprised. I figured we had about
a 1%
chance on that one, and then we got she's in full. I was like, well, gee.
Yeah.
Way better than I thought. So
exactly.
That's cool.
Yep. Absolutely. Cool. But that's the timing. That's the timing on both of those. And just I think we talked about this on Slack. The plan, the other, and I don't know if there'll be another broodmare beyond those two opportunities. There may be a third one if it trickles in. But the other one that is definite going to be an opportunity is Participate. Of the horses we have, of the fillies and mares that we have, Participate was purchased specifically because I wanted to turn her into a broodmare. I wasn't even sure how much racing juice she had left. Now, luckily Beth got her and could turn some things around, and so I think we're gonna get a little extra bonus money here out of all of this excitement. And if we can steal a stakes race, I mean, she's going to be really impressive as a broodmare opportunity then. But yeah, she's the other one that is definitely at some point going to be an opportunity to be a broodmare. That will probably be in the January time frame when she's done running. But we'll let her run through turf season, which in Maryland can go to about November if the weather cooperates, and then we'll send her to the farm after that.
All right, well, I have to say I'm pretty excited about the broodmare partnership, even though that's really not. I've done it and was more interested in the racing, but how you've set it up really is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, we try, as always, try to do it to give everybody a shot. That if it's something you want to dabble in, it's not going to break the bank for people. So cool. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming tonight, and I'm going to go find dinner.
Thank you, TK.
All right. See you, my friends.
Bye.
Take care.